Okay, so I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago I decided I would try out a Fanatec steering wheel, and I went down and laid out some serious money for the Forza bundle, as they call it, which comes with this wheel here, and this is what they refer to as the wheel or rim. Okay, and this is basically, just for lack of a better word, for aesthetics and feel and shape and everything, but this is probably the most minor component of the whole deal. What you can't tell from always looking at the picture is there's the wheel, then where all these buttons are, here, here, down here, 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 the Xbox button, all this stuff is on what is called the hub, and the hub is separate. So all this stuff comes with the hub, including these buttons up here and this LED display here. So all this is one piece. The wheel itself, or rim, is a second piece. The driver of all this is the base, and I got I think it's called the Clubsport base version 2.5. I think it's the newest base they had. And then I got the pedals, and I'm going to walk through a little bit on each component of it. My overall impressions are it's very good. It takes a lot of getting used to, and it has a lot of adjustability, so it requires a lot of dialing in on your part to fit your preferences, okay? So let me go through some stuff here. It's got a power switch and runs off electricity. Something that I missed in going through the instructions, drove me nuts, is it's got different modes. Green on mine is Xbox mode. Red light around it is PC mode. So when you put it out of the box and plug it in, it's in PC mode. And my Xbox didn't recognize that, and it took me a while. It was driving me nuts. I thought the thing didn't work. But you can switch it over by pressing a couple of buttons, and I think it's either this button or this button, plus the X button, and this button or this button, I can't remember which one. It's one of those two, plus the Y button, and that flips it in between the modes. But let me go through, because the heart of this thing to me is all the adjustability of it. It has a very different feel overall from what I was used to. But again, it's got a lot of adjustability. It just takes some getting used to. This is the LED switch, and you have up to 5 presets. So if you play a NASCAR game, a dirt racing game, a Grand Prix game, or whatever, you can have your preferences set 5 different ways. There's one, oh, sorry. Let's see, there's 2, 3, 4, 5. You can have them set different ways depending on what game you're playing. I guess if you were really that concerned about it, you could set it for different tracks. But let's go through some of this. The first one is the sensitivity. Okay, that's how many degrees of rotation you have. So I have 270. You can rotate it all the way up to 900 degrees of rotation. Okay, which goes all the way around, or you can put it on automatic, which I think it just self-calibrates based on either the game you're playing or some default setting. And I think you can take it all the way down to where it doesn't hardly turn at all, to where it's like, yeah, 90 degrees I think must be as low as it goes. So that's it. That's all you get on 90 degrees. But that way you can adjust how sensitive the steering wheel is. And I have tested this by doing like an in-car mode. And if you got it dialed way down to 90 degrees and you just turn it that much, that may be that much on your steering. But in the game, the wheel is like turned way over to the side like this. So it gives you your full steering in the game. It's just your preference of what you want it at. The force feedback, I've got it on automatic, and you can set it from 0 to 100, but that gives you how much force feedback you've got. The SHO, I really haven't messed with a tremendous amount. This is the shock, which I'm not exactly sure what the difference between the shock and the force feedback is, but I've got the shock set at 100. The ABS is for games that support anti-lock braking systems. And I'm not sure that this works on Xbox, but I'm pretty sure it works on PC. So when you start hitting the ABS or getting close to it, you can feel a vibration in the pedals. And I've got it off, but you can adjust it to whether you're all the way up to where the ABS kicks in, or you're 90% of the way or there, or whatever. So you can feel when you're hitting the ABS. The DR1, or that is drift. Drift is how much resistance or help you're getting in the steering. I've got it off right now, so it's just a very natural feel. If you go to -5, it makes the wheel very hard to turn. You're getting a lot of resistance. If you go up to 5, it's very quick, and as in there's no resistance. It's almost like adding superpower steering, in that you're getting help and assistance turning the wheel. Brake force is a big one. I had problems with the brakes, and it seemed like, compared to what I was used to, the brakes are incredibly hard to push. So the brake force allows you to adjust from 100%, meaning you got to push that thing all the way down to get 100% of the brake force, to down to, you could do it to whatever you want, to where you're not pushing the brake pedal very far to get 100% of the braking force. I've got it set about 75%. When I had it at 100, I had an awful time getting the car slowed up enough, especially if I was running like a road course. And I'm telling you, I primarily play NASCAR racing games. The FEI, and the FEI is something that, let me remind myself, it is force effect intensity, I think, and I'm not sure what it means, but one of the things I was struggling with, and I got some great advice because I reached out to somebody who had one of these wheels. He said dial the FEI way down for playing NASCAR games. It'll make a big difference, and it did help. I've got it all the way to 0, but I think it's force effect intensity, which I keep wondering about SHO, force feedback, and FEI, and how they're all different. But you know, that was some good advice, and it did make a difference. So if you're playing a NASCAR game, I dialed it down, and those are the settings. So you can see there's a tremendous amount of adjustability there, and you can have up to 5 different presets of settings. You also get a second set of buttons up here behind this little LED switch here, and you can't see it for the glare hardly, but it's all the same buttons. It's X, Y, B, a D-pad, LB, RB, LT, RT. I'm not even sure what LSB and RSB are, and then you got your 3 lines and your 2 triangles, and I wish that light wasn't so bright that you could see it better. That's kind of the wheel. This is kind of the motor, and it's transparent, so I think it's neat. You can see it. So you can see, watch the Fanatec piece. As I turn the wheel, you can see it move down, and then you can see it move back up. So that's the belt, the gearing, the everything. Things I would tell you about the pedals. This is where I struggled. It felt like the pedals, just for lack of a better word, seemed sluggish when I was trying to accelerate, and there's no real adjustment on the pedals. There are some different springs you can order to adjust the resistance of the pedals, and it took just some getting used to. But you can see, I don't know, it's hard to show how hard I'm pushing. I can push the gas down with one finger, and it seems like it is very, I don't know how you'd say it. You have a lot more if you want to be easy on the gas, let's say you're going someplace where you have to ease onto the gas, like maybe say New Martinsville or a road course, and you're giving it a little gas and a little more and then down. It seems like the game, or at least the Xbox NASCAR game, it seems like the inputs come out as more precise. You can feel, or you can get a better realistic simulation of easing onto the gas or easing out of it. You get more of a sensation with other wheels that I played with, where you're just either not completely, but kind of an all on or all off sensation. It's not exactly like that, but it feels like you can be more, I don't want to say variability, because the game, it is a very consistent wheel, but you have more ability to give it a little gas, half gas, or all gas, and it seems like the car responds that way better. The brakes, I had a hard time with. The brakes, I mean, it is just hard to push, okay? Now there are some things you can buy to adjust the dampening of the brakes, and there is a knob there that you can adjust, which is supposed to adjust the dampening of the brakes too. But it is just, to me, I got used to it, and like I said, I had to adjust the brake force to 75%. But to me, it was just very, very difficult to get used to. Now that I'm used to it, it's great, but it took a lot of fooling around with settings to get to where I could run the lap times I was used to. The clutch I really don't use, but the clutch is kind of a all or nothing type thing. It's, you push it and you can really feel it just go. It's some resistance, but go. If I were to give anybody any advice, I would look at either going even more upscale on the pedals or buying the kits to where you can adjust the spring on the throttle or the dampening stuff. There's, I think, some internal parts that you can take apart and replace, getting those parts on the brake pedal. But it's the big question everybody says is it worth it? And that answer is up to you. It depends on what you can afford and how much you play, whether it is worth it or not. It is. I can turn a little bit better lap times at most tracks, and when I say a little bit better, I'm not sure it's even a full 1/10 of a second. And again, this is based on playing NASCAR games. I feel like I'm more consistent and I have better control of the car. I feel like I can put the car wherever I want it on the track more. I feel like if I make a mistake, it's easier to get myself out of the mistake. So if I clip the apron, if I get up in the groove too much, it seems like it's a little easier to get it back under control. And I feel like I am much more comfortable running side by side with somebody that I can hold where I want to be compared to with the other wheels I've raced with. So I know this is long, but there's a lot to say. I feel like I could do a separate video on the base or on the hub or on the wheel or on the pedals, but this is all that I got. Hope this is helpful. And if you like this stuff, I do a lot of setup videos on tracks. I do a deep dive onto the driving lines and deep dive into the setup and how to adjust it for different problems. So if you like this setup, check out some of my other videos. I think you're going to find that I have pretty good content and might be a channel you want to subscribe to. Thank you much.